Hello. Welcome, everybody. Let's just get set here. Alrighty. I've been working on a little painting using some paint made from genuine ground up turquoise. Marla Dillard. Well, hello to you. And I've been swatching some paints. I've received a package from our friend and often moderator, Maya, all the way from Norway. So, and there she is. So, I have been into the paints, just making lots of little swatches, and may or may not have been raising hell in a couple of other chats. So, we'll see what happens over here. Love it. Marla says she is working on a diamond painting in the middle of the night. I kind of if you don't have other responsibilities and you can live your life in the middle of the night and that makes you happy, then rock on. So I love that you're out there just, if it's 3 in the morning and you're like, I'd rather diamond paint than try to get comfortable and sleep, then, get it. So, how's everybody doing? How's it going? I have been trying to get myself extricated from the activities of last year, and in recent days, because I've been in the chain of messages that have gone around over the last month. So every once in a while, somebody goes, "Okay, I'm gonna ring your bell." And I've been answering it this last week. And if you have been paying any attention, the flurry of live streams and videos and community posts has been insane this last week. But I think we're pretty close to kind of getting over that tipping point and maybe just getting some stuff finally settled out and some light brought to some things that have been kept in the dark, and nothing like a good cleansing to get stuff moving forward. So, did I like the paint? Oh, did I like the paint? Tell you guys what kind of paint she sent me. I love the paint. There was some genuine amethyst from that Seattle company, and this one is a different intensity. It's the same hue as the dot that I have from the card, but this one reads as kind of a medium tone, so it's going to work very well with what I have. Volcano orange, one of the Schminky colors in there. I think those are all super granulating colors, the Schminky collection. Volcanic orange, and there's a whole volcanic series, there's a glacier series, there's Shire and Forest, and then this is Lunar Earth pigment BR11. So really, we're nerding out early. We're nerding out very, very early in the video, so we'll find out how well that goes. Glacier Brown from Schminky, which is every bit as complex as Jade Green. It's got a couple of different pigments in it, PG26 and PBR6, so it's doing some interesting things, and I'm thinking about using a little bit of it on this painting. So it certainly bridges the turquoise and then these rusty iron oxide colors. And I just wasn't too sure. I thought it might be a little bit too matchy. I'm aiming for something that's going to make these three pieces of turquoise just kind of jump off, and we'll figure it out. Schminke's mahogany brown. That one's gorgeous. Got a nice red. You know, that one might work in here. It's got a nice red cast to it. And then we swatched the Lucas turquoise. So yeah, working my way through it. I think one of the most interesting ones that I've swatched so far is one from Paul Rubens called Midnight Purple. Really doing some funky things there. That's one bit of paint. It's not a bunch of paints mixed together. So that's pretty cool. And then I used it pretty diluted with, I mean, a lot of water mixed in with the paint, and it's just made some fantastic shapes. So I might just, I was thinking about whether I wanted to add more colors to this one, because I don't know if it shows up on camera, but it's really complex and fast, kind of a fascinating to my eye. So, hey Jody. Man, I've kept my mouth shut over there for like 6 months. Yeah, so that one is, did I nerd out, or did I explain which one that was? That is Moonlight Purple from Paul Rubens, and it contains, this is crazy to me because it's like a dark gray, but it's got an orange in it, PO73, PB29, which is ultramarine, right? And PG18, which I think is, don't quote me on this, you might want to Google it, but I think it is, I think that's Viridian. If it's not, I don't care. Somebody can leave me a comment. It's not a world-ending thing to know. Bit of trivia. So, on me, I looked up and saw our concurrence. Got a little flummoxed there for a second. Yep. All right, guys. I'm a little fragged tonight. So if there's something and you've asked it and I didn't catch it, just throw it up in all caps again if you wouldn't mind. Or, yeah, just don't be afraid to ask a second time, because as long as it's, you know how we do around here. If there's rude, it just goes away. So you can be funny, just don't be gross. Yeah. So I have been. It's not you, Joe. I've been. I've been working on some stuff, and I haven't been live streaming very much the last 2 weeks. So it's not you missing. It was me, kind of not necessarily showing up as often as you might have been accustomed to before. So yeah. Yeah, I'm glad we're here. I hope there's there's always a couple of other people that are always in the comments, and I'm just so, it's like showing up at the coffee shop and finding my friends already there with a table when we get that nice confluence of chat, and I get to hang out. So I don't know if I have a life, but I've got a cat. Jody's asking, you have a life? Uh, oh, well, Marla's asking me, so how was my installation? I have been talking about getting stuff finished and framed, and about this gallery that existed when I came through the town as I went back through my notes. I thought I was just there not that long ago. Turns out it was 2023. Uh, this is what, yeah, all you young people out here, when you get in your 60s, this is how time moves. It's just like, I was just there. 2 years ago, apparently 2 years ago. And so I got online and I'm looking around for the website because I want to find the submission form, and the last thing on the website was dated in about the end of it, and I could find the business that was next to it, but they've moved elsewhere. So in my mind, here's a little art show while I'm yammering on. In my mind, I was preparing a body of work for a gallery that is apparently no longer in operation. And I feel like a dolt about it because like, it never occurred to me that it just never occurred to me that the gallery would close down. I mean, why would it? Because art galleries never close, right? They close so often. So I am like Google Maps. I am recalculating, and I did quite a lot of traveling around from like through 21 through 23 and went all kinds of places and visited all kinds of galleries, and I know there's some place out there. So I will find a place, but I just, in my own autistic way, when you think you're doing a thing and then you've got to transition to doing things differently, uh, I, it, I will pivot. It's very slow. It's, well, it's not slow. It just takes deliberation. So pivoting is, unless you're playing basketball, it's a little bit. It takes me some time. Yeah, it's like, yeah. I tried to enter it into my mental Google Maps, and the I was had taken myself and my paintbrush halfway down the route without realizing the destination was non-existent. So yeah, we have to recalculate. Oh, so you said something about. Uh, I was thinking about it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the colorway. I think because I really was on a thing here with the contrast between the turquoise and the iron oxide colors. So I think once the background is laid in and the pebbles are sketched in, that these three are really going to jump off. And if they don't, I'm going to take a little white ink to them and put some really very visible highlights on them. And that'll draw the eye to them more also. So Marla says, Pivot, at least your canvases are smaller than a couch on a staircase. Irish Mart, hello. Are you implying that your diamond art is of large dimension? Yeah, my brain just went back to taking a stair rail off, and while I was still in law school, had a roommate in the sofa. I had to go upstairs, and yeah. Yeah, so Maya is suggesting that lunar black would make the blue pop. Like it's a very, very dark background. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Oh, okay, friends. That was a good episode. All right. So, I bend this paper a little flatter. I love shiny things. I'm almost afraid to start diamond painting because I think, oh my gosh, I might go on a diamond painting bender. And the watercolor paint bender has been bad enough. Oh, so make some pebbles with lunar black. Yes, and ivory black, and I've got this Shiva black vintage paint from the 1950s that is just like the darkest black. Uh, yeah, maybe a variety of black. I don't know. It's kind of evolving. I guess I'm thinking more about these little paintings as I go than I was. Sometimes I'm just very intuitive. I just grab whatever's on. Like this one was very intuitive. I grabbed whatever was on the palette. Um, and it's got a different sort of a variegation to it that the ones that I'm more organized with have, which is, that's logical. It makes sense. But sometimes on these, these other studies that I'm doing, I'm trying to be more mindful of my palette, the color choice going into it. So I inherited the vintage. I have a question in the chat here. Where do I find the vintage paints? I inherited some. I have lived long enough to accumulate some. Vintage is only 50 years old, Antique, 100. But uh, yeah, I confess to that. Have acquired my own paint when it was new and then held on to it that long. Um, Estate sales, thrift shops, and you can tell by the labels sometimes what the yeah, and I don't know. I haven't seen a Shiva paint from the '60s. This could have been, sometimes a design would hold over for quite a while, unlike today where branding changes sometimes by the month. But back in the day, you would use up all of your stock before you did new branding on new stock. So, could have been even from the '60s, but it's just I know it's formulated in a different way. So, uh, yay! Well, congratulations. A couple of people have discovered that they're vintage. Right. That's cool. That's cooler than, ma'am. Can I help you, ma'am? From 12-year-old at the meat counter. Okay, look at the chat there. All right. Let's see if we can get me on task here for just a minute. Oh, this paint is awesome. It's like looking at a cloud, it's much more magical and subtle than when I slap 4 layers of gouache onto a 3x3. I enjoy those, but this is different. There's a lot of really subtle gradations in this paint, and um, now I want to buy a big tube of it, I think, Maya. It's really beautiful. There's sort of a purplish, almost like the color of bluebells, or just slightly into periwinkle, that is precipitated out and hanging out in the low spots of the paper. And then there's kind of a dove gray and this darker, very, very nice tone to the gray. So, yeah, all kinds of stuff. Just tons of stuff going on with that paint. Yeah. So, you guys, how did you guys have good weeks? Everybody got through we got through part of February, so that's That's no small accomplishment to get through a week of January, February, or March, at least in this hemisphere. So I think this time last week, we still had snow here. About 3 or 4 days where I just was kind of at home, and they called it snowed in. I lived in Alaska. This wasn't snowed in, but it's what people in Oregon just look out the window, see that the world is white, and then just have a complete and utter meltdown. So, yeah, it's kind of whispering across the paper. That's an interesting way to describe it. Yeah. Rabbit is here for the shenanigans. Excellent. Excellent. What sort of shenanigans are you interested in? Uh, yeah, I've got a whole bag of shenanigans. Yeah, we did get it stayed for a few days too. It was kind of cool. It was like I kept waking up and going, "Oh, I hope there's still snow out the window." And they do. That's some new paint. Maya sent me some paint samples, and like she sent me all kinds of goodies. But look at what she made for me to share with everybody. So we have all of these. Oh my gosh! And then some half pans too. So paints, and there's really really cool ones in here. So we're gonna be able to make some really cool rocks with these because there's like galaxy black and volcano brown and glacier green and shire blue and quinacridone sienna, potter's pinks, some perylene green, and haze indigo, haze pink. I mean, golly, we've just got weeks of yeah, she's an international. Maya is an international paint dot dealer. So I think we're just, I mean, I think of every tube of paint as a new kind of inspiration. So having that many and that many kind of fantastic, interesting granulating and super granulating colors. So I don't know if she's a dealer, but I would say she's an enabler. I think if you told Maya she was a paint acquisition enabler, she would put on a hat and dance in a circle with great merriment because that is one of her reasons for being. The Kansa people were celebrating their survival of 10 days below freezing. Oh, golly. What am I. Where is that? What continent? Bring me one too. Rabbit's going to get a snack. So I've had snacks. I've been snacking very well, but that's a that's a whole other video. Why do I not know where that culture is located? I feel like I should know that. Well, boy, I have a lot of junk in the in this shot tonight. It's all kinds of goodies hanging out here. Wow, we're going to be 40 degrees in western Massachusetts. See, I told you Maya would be happy. There, we got all caps out of Maya. Oh, Kansas. Okay. My my brain went traveling. Yeah, it can get pretty life or deathy out in Kansas, can't it? Okay, put a one in the chat if you're thinking about the Wizard of Oz. I mean, there's freezing, there's tornadoes, there's. Well, you know you're getting the hang of anything that should mindfulness practice when your brain stops processing the internal dialogue or the narration, either one. Yay! All right. Rabbit's bringing us back cinnamon buns. I love cinnamon buns. How'd you know? And Marla says, I mean, honestly, did these people not read or watch Little House on the Prairie? Right? Have I ever heard of flow state? Oh, yeah. Yep. I I skied a lot when I was. Well, it was kind of my great rebellion after I turned 18 because my parents were like, no, you can't go ski. I had friends who skied, downhill skied. And I would get invited to go with the friends. And my parents would always go, no, you'll break your leg. So I turned 18 and I went, like the first weekend after I turned 18, I went with my friends up to the ski area and just fell in love with skiing. And yeah, so skiing to me is once you learn how to do it and you can find yourself on a run, you know, where you don't have to dodge other people too much and they don't have to dodge you. And you can just get like an amazing run down, like especially if you can get into some fresh snow that hasn't been tracked by 1,700 other people, right? And you're heading down the hill. And I used to love to go. We would leave and head up to the ski area. We'd cut school, go to the two classes where they took attendance, and then after that we would duck out and we would head to the ski area, take the evening driving up there, and then in the winter, you know, it gets dark early, so we would be there in time to for night skiing. So if like it was a moonlit night and you're night skiing, it's very very quiet, There's not very many people up there. You go up on a Thursday night, and you will find flow state sooner than not. So yeah, I was a runner and did sports and stuff like that. So yeah, but flow state is just kind of anything where you're just really in the here and now doing what you're doing. And it's really good for your brain if you can find something to do that gets you in a flow state. Rabbit says she gets into the state with junk journaling. Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of what this is all about. If you guys get into a flow state watching this idiot draw circles on paper, then yay. If you can pick up a pen and whatever medium you have and have your own circles and your own pen, that's even better. I mean, I've certainly been mesmerized watching other things like ice skating or, you know, kitten videos. Apparently, I can flow right through about an hour and a half of kitten videos. Just me. Um, Marla says I felt that way driving a forklift. Okay, so I'm guessing in a forklift you're probably in a noisy environment, so you get some hearing protectors on. So that puts you into a little bit of sensory deprivation, and then you've got the vibration from being on a piece of machinery. So that's giving you some sensory, like, no, driving a forklift is pretty fun actually, Rabbit. Once you get the hang of it, and you're like, in most jobs where there is forklift driving, that's a pretty cushy one in that environment. So, yeah, really, and you're moving things through 3 dimensions, so that takes a different sort of the different part of your brain. So I get that. Yeah, being in a flow state, driving some machinery and moving things through space. Running, swimming, basically anything you do that's got repetitive motion. If you want to get into flow state, look for something with repetitive motion. Now, a bicycle, fantastic way. Jody. Well, Jody says, wow, a forklift. She does have a lot of art supplies. Yeah. Yeah, Marla says it's just you have to concentrate. You can't think about anything else. It was, yeah, totally different from anything else I had done. Something maybe people who haven't really watched a forklift is they steer from the back wheels, the wheels that are usually kind of behind you instead of the front wheels. So very different from a car. Uh, you turn the opposite way than you do if you were in a car. So, and the wheels are little, so you've got a lot of things you have to do with the steering wheel to go just a little bit, and yeah, hiking in the woods. So there you've got the left, right, or, assuming you're a 2-footed human. Yeah, any walking, running, and if it can tax you a little bit physically, it'll get you into the flow state just a little bit faster. So, why do we want to? Well, it changes the electrical activity in your brain when you're in the flow state. And if you can change that into something that's less frenetic, and that's usually like we're usually trying to down-regulate our nervous systems in the Western world. We're not usually trying to, juice them up. But you can get into that, I want to say alpha state. You might have to Google and double check me on the state of it. If you just Googled flow state, you'll find out. Oh, you can find that rabbit hole. Yeah, Maya says so. It's like driving in reverse. Yeah, but flipped over and somehow. Yeah, no, it's hard. I'll let Marla explain. I'm guessing Marla's got a lot more experience on a forklift than I do. I had probably just enough for them to go, oh, she hasn't really crashed anything yet. Let's just get her into another job before she does. Uh, you know, gotta give it a try. So the flow state, when you're in it, if you get some repetitive thing going on, I know I've got the circles, and a repeat and a repeat. I've got a motion that I'm doing with the muscles in my hand. There's a fair amount to this task that's repetitive motion. But it settles your brain into a particular way of operating. And while it's operating in that state, your heart rate drops down, your respirations slow down, your body muscles relax. You're able to start digesting, like your digestive system starts working better. And as your brain is also in this cycle, it's able to produce neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. So you'll just, yeah, if you can get a bit of a flow state going, uh, you will take some stress off of your body and you will probably feel better physically. I usually do after it. And it can just help you to, all of the benefits that slowing your brain has of just reducing your anxiety, because anxiety tends to come when you've got your brain in overdrive. So you slow down your thinking, you can reduce the level of anxiety. Having more dopamine and serotonin means your brain works a little bit better, so that helps combat depression. So it's just kind of a simple thing you can look to do. Uh, a repetitive motion activity, knitting, crocheting. It's great if you can get out and make it, something that's exercise, moving your body. But, work where you are, find it where you can. Holy cow. Marla says it was a funny place. A converted concrete dairy outbuilding that was a carpet outlet, so the storage area was very challenging. Made for cows, stored rugs. Carpet rolls had to go on at a 30-degree angle to fit. Maya says she wondered which of the United States was the flow state. From what I've seen lately, none of them. We used to accuse California, but I don't think even California's got much flow going lately. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do any states currently have flow? And if so, what is flowing? And here I am just looking up to see what lovely spicy things you guys had typed in the chat. We don't know. We don't know what's available. This is so interesting to me because it's really coming along at a different pace. I've been working mostly with paints that have been in the paint box. I'm kind of used to their properties, and because this new paint is novel and it's doing all kinds of it's blooming and it's got edges in ways that are really unfamiliar, it's slowed me down quite a bit, which is there's no judgment on that. It's neither good nor bad, but just an observation about that. So I think it was I think it's quite good to for our brains to introduce something novel. I read once that that novelty, the experience of novelty, and it could be tasting a candy that you've never tasted before, doing something you've never done before, like having something that comes in through your sensory systems. It's good if you can do something visceral, like by taste or by smell or a new sound. Uh, that it makes your brain have to process new information, and that's quite good for our brains to have something new to do that they've never done before. It keeps our brains plastic, meaning adaptable, and maybe working a little bit more like they did when we were young. So, uh, those of you who have ADHD, you'll know about novelty seeking because it's just that can really be an aspect of ADHD, but it is beneficial to your organism to find some novel things to do. So, okay, just checking in with Chad here. Things aren't flowing well right now. It's like everyone was sent to their room. Now they're being dragged out of their room and they are not happy. Yeah, Marla, it's like we forgot how to, like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm just really thankful that we've got a tripartite government and that, um, thank God for checks and balances. Maya was going to type, junk journaling the states makes sense these days. Yeah, I don't know. I just like I've got that mental calendar with the 4 years in it and the days in my like my imagination. I'm just ripping off the day, going, well, that's one less day of the 4 year countdown, and I mean, we'll see how it goes, right? Maya wants to know if I tasted more of the chocolate. I may or may not have tasted a great deal of the chocolate. Yes, thumbs up to Norwegian chocolate. Uh, the bar that was like it was pretty much identical to what we call a Kit Kat here. So uh, yeah, that was kind of cool. The chocolate's a little different than the American Kit Kat, uh, but American Kit Kat has that wafer cookie in it. So um, pretty amazing. Sadly, I didn't bring. You guys don't listen, guys. Maya, I didn't have enough. I couldn't bring chocolate for everyone, so I was yeah, I was kind of being quiet about that. All right. I don't know why. You guys are getting extra goofy Janelle art today for whatever reasons. So, back to the whole collection of paintings and then trying to find a place to get them exhibited and potentially sold. Um, I knew that this gallery was like an artist co-op and it had sort of a it wasn't too I mean it was adjoining a rock shop, right? So it's not like really a highbrow sort of different galleries have a different vibe and most galleries would probably have to frame all of my work in very in a way that was either consistent across the collection, which is say they all had, you know, white mats or a coordinating understated mat of a certain dimension and a particular type of frame, and so that it would hang together at the gallery. Other galleries that are a little bit more informal, you can get away with having a variety of types of framing. This gallery I was thinking about definitely had, well, it was a co op, so lots and lots of different skill levels, lots of different taste with the way works of art were presented, and a lot of latitude um, in how the art could be presented. So that's kind of how I've been framing things. So now that I have to find a different place, it'll almost certainly have a different vibe to the way they'll need the matting and framing done. So again, with the recalculating. Oh, so Kit Kat is a copy of that one. Oh, well, that would make sense because we like to say we innovate, but you know, I mean, I'm an American. You really can't trust me. Oh, Marla's talking about the seed vault. That's a fascinating thing. I've heard about that. We have a repository someplace on the planet for seed stock so that when we do the stupid human things that we inevitably do and wipe out a type of plant, somewhere somebody thought to save some seeds. And we had an order for Goofy to counteract some of the crazy. Well, good. Okay, good. You know, it just wouldn't surprise me. Maya. Maya says she's not sure. She just heard someone talk about it. Well, yeah, Americans would never steal anything and then take credit for it, would we? I asked my brain if it would come up with an example or two, and it just kind of went, no, let's just circle some rocks on this paper. So I guess, you know, that's what happens if you have months of a habit of mindfulness, and, you know, the task with mindfulness is to quiet down and not to go. Um, it's blurry. When I get my hand going in here, sometimes the camera does like to focus on my wrist or on the pen, end of the pen, instead of on the work of art. But of my many charms, Technical camera skills, low on the list. If you hang around for a while, you'll find that the charm of this channel is largely in the chat. Is Jody, are you still around here? I wandered down to that. There was a Mexican restaurant I recommended a few weeks ago, and I went in there and I ordered the thing that I often order, and there was a new girl at the counter, and she just looked at me and kind of looked me up and down and just goes, "No." I said, I literally said, "Excuse me?" And she said, "No, it only comes in chicken or beef." And I said, "Well, I'd like to have it with pork the way I had it last week." And so she looks at me and she says, "You want shredded or you like carnitas?" And I'm like, I didn't know that they did carnitas with pork at this. They do usually the carnitas are beef. So I did kind of look at her like, what the heck are you talking about? And then I repeated what I wanted. Then she just goes, no, again. Like, not even, I'm sorry we changed our menu, or, yeah, not today, or. And then she looks over my shoulder, makes eye contact, and goes, next. And, anyway, I withdraw my recommendation. I just think that that's, like, what the heck? Exactly rude. So, like, I go there, oh, probably 4 to 8 times a month, and I never spend less than $15, and I always tip. So, uh, I literally just like, I was gonna order something else, and then I just kind of looked at her, and she was like, and then I just turned around and I walked out and got in my car and I drove to the taco place that's just down the road from them. So, uh, and they were revenge tacos, so they weren't great. So now I'm on the hunt for um, a new. It doesn't even have to be I was going to say Mexican restaurant, but we do have a few from Central American cultures too that might be just spicy and when I say will you make me a burrito, that should just be like how really that's not a it's not hard. She just was being not very nice to me. So I felt a little like yeah, I did. I said no. I said fine. I'm taking my money and I'm leaving. Uh, Under my breath, like not in a big, Karen kind of a way. And then I actually took my money and I left, which was kind of the communication. And it's like I walked out the door, and one of the waitresses that's there that often takes my order was just kind of like looking at me like, you're leaving without food. What's that about? So I expect somebody somewhere will either not give a rip one way or the other about me and my little order, or it's just so wild to me when I encounter that out in the wild. Because I had my own small business, and I've said this to people before, and they've just gone, "Boy, you were a real bitch to boss." But if one of my employees had treated a customer that way, it might well have been their last day of work. Because in the business that I had a flower shop, and the answer is always, "Yeah, we'll try to make that happen," or "Can't quite do that, but I can do something else." Uh, and I didn't tell them they were forbidden to say no. I just challenged them to find ways to say yes, and rewarded them when they would be successful in helping a customer to send somebody flowers. Yeah, they might call and say, "Hey, can I get something? Do you have any more deliveries going out today?" And the answer might well be no, because you might have sent the delivery driver home 2 hours ago. But that didn't mean that you couldn't figure out a way to call a cab. And uh, back in the day when I had my shop, we still had cabs and not Ubers. And the taxi cabs would come, and they would have a bracket in there where they could hold a bouquet, and they would deliver bouquets for us. And it'd cost about $20 instead of $5. But a lot of the people, when you say, "Yeah, I can do that," our driver's gone home for the day, but I can special deliver it, and there's an extra fee on that. People would go, "Yeah, I forgot my anniversary, get me out of the hole." And they were happy that you helped them. I'm sure the person trying to pay the bills for that little restaurant would have really appreciated that the employees were trying to sell the food instead of send a hungry customer out the door. But I don't know, is it just me? Am I just old and cranky now? Is it young people don't need a world where businesses have to take, advantage of the opportunity to serve every customer who comes along? Because I mean, that was the environment that I was operating in. Oh, a recommendation for El Ranchero Market. I have been there. They have my brain just blanked out. What are the things that are made of masa and they're rolled in corn leaves? Tamales? Tamales. Have you tried their tamales? Um, well, she had on like glitter makeup, and she was that girl. Yeah, she spent 2 hours like getting her hair all fussed with, and was probably not very nice to. Yeah, I don't know that she was nice to anybody. She was probably rude to the guy behind me too, for all I know. Um, yeah, but that's nice of you, Jody. Maybe she was. It will tell you something else. That's she's been she got hired in the last 2 months, and she's been like the first 2 weeks that she was there, it was like she would get my order messed up, and I would just kind of go, "Okay, thank you," and go, "Well, I can probably eat this," and left. Um, yeah, so I did feel like I was getting treated a little bit nasty for something that I couldn't quite put my finger on. Like, was I too old? Was I too white? I mean, what was it about, And also, because it's at least the third time that she's just been a little bit difficult for me to deal with. Okay, so we've got some recommendation for several dishes, and that they're Mexican. Boy, that came out weird. Mexican bakery items are pretty good. Yeah, somebody's saying that Jody says that we never know what other people are going through with the immigrant climate in this country these days, and it's a good point. But um, so I don't know how it helps to be nasty to people, but I could understand being, if you thought the whole country was turning into, I was going to use the for, if the climate was resembling the 1930s, and it's complicated. Geez, I just was just trying to get some lunch. So, do any of you people make resolutions at the new year? I did that maybe a handful of times in my 20s and quickly went, well, that doesn't work very well for me. Um, but it does seem like a new year is an opportunity to try to do something differently from how I did it in the years previously, which isn't exactly a resolution so much as just um, I look at it as just this opportunity to kind of think about things and to yeah, okay, so we've got no resolutions and God no to Marla says been on a chili verde quest. Me too. Me too. That's what I was after. I was trying to get some chili verde in my lunch. And, oh, just this time of year it just tasted more flavorful. Um, Irish Mart says stop making them has never kept them. Why set yourself up to fail, right? Like, and I think a lot of people like, oh, I'll work out until my knee starts hurting, right? Like it's always, you don't get very far before there's something that just puts a halt to that drastic change. So somewhere in my 50s, I decided I was going to, instead of doing resolutions, which are, I think of as saying, oh, I'm going to stop doing something and I'm going to have this new, improved, healthy habit. I'm going to take that up and um, every day I'm going to go to the gym. Every day I'm going to go out for a walk, whatever it is. Every day I'm going to do 3 hours of yoga or I'm going to eat healthy. And um, in my own peculiar way of looking at the world, I have undertaken to do things and just shift my perspective on something. And here's an example. So, one year I was kind of cranked out of shape. I know that's hard to imagine. Because I've been thinking about how, as a woman in America, I've had to pay what's called the pink tax pretty much all my life. And if you've never heard the phrase, hey, Joe Bananas, yeah, hi from back in Nora's chat there. Uh, anyway, um, the uh, the pink tax is when things that are made for women cost more than the same thing that's made for men, and very often that item might be made using poorer materials, lesser quality materials. It might be not as well made. And here's an example: a white button dress shirt. You go buy one for a man, you can buy it by the collar measurement as well as the sleeve length measurement. Women's shirts, you can't do that. You get like a narrow range. They tend to men's shirts tend to have flat felled seams where the raw fabric is turned in. Uh, they're more comfortable on the body, and women's shirts tend to have a raw edge seam on the inside, so the shirt wears out faster. And women's shirts cost more than men's shirts. And there's lots of answers for why this is, right? Because more men's shirts are manufactured, so per piece they can be cheaper. But when it comes to you and we're standing at the store, and you're a woman, you're going to pay more for a shirt, and it's going to be not as good quality. So, uh, yeah, I saw you in there. I just like we didn't get to say hello because I mean I only just kind of said the one thing. And it's been a super busy day around the community. Um, so, um, yeah, like a haircut. Here's another example, right? And you go in and a man can get a precision barber haircut. Now, this isn't as true as it used to be because this is one of the areas where the industry looked at it and went, oh, well, everybody should pay the same. And the barbers went, okay, we'll raise our prices. So the price of men's haircuts actually went up. They're still not on parity with women's haircuts and style. And women are expected to do not just a cut, but a color, and to have many more maintenance appointments, and to use more hair product than the average fella does, or person who rocks a short precision haircut, right? A different product amount usage when your hair is to, half an inch long than when you've got to have hair, you know, 14 inches from your scalp. So I was just thinking about these things and I had this whole list of shit that I had to do. And it was like, why do I have to spend 2 hours or an hour and a half getting my hair fluffed in the morning and then putting on makeup? Why do I have to wear makeup but my boyfriend only has to wear sunscreen? Right? Why do I have to, like, it just was this whole list of things that were kind of down to the pink tax. And so, oh yeah, don't even get me started. Marla is pointing out, did you find out all the medical knowledge we have is based on studies done on Caucasian men at the early 20th century? I think that scrolled. Okay, yeah. So things like norming the level of thyroid stimulating hormone, those studies were normed out on men. So this is why to this day women have a harder time getting an appropriate dosage of thyroid replacement hormone when they have low thyroid. Because those studies and those tests were normed for men, not women. And our bodies don't really work exactly the same way. We have a different, men and women have different hormonal systems at different points of their lives, and things work just a little bit differently. And now that we could have a group of women and get some norms for the labs from a group of women, why haven't we done it? No, we just keep using the old data that was just from men. And Western, people in the Western world. Okay, maybe I'm going to reel that back and we're just going to not go down that because I'll get started on it. Uh, so instead of, back to the New Year's resolution thing, so instead of saying, I'm going to start walking 10 miles a week, I'm going to stop doing the things that I have to do differently because I'm a woman. And I'm just going to do it the way dudes get to do it. And we'll see how much money I save at throughout the year. We'll see, like, how do I feel? Like, what's going to happen if I give this thing an experiment? And so I did. And I, like, stopped wearing makeup. And my boyfriend was just like, okay, I guess I'll wait till you're ready to go. And I'd be like, I've got sunscreen. Oh, he was like, well, aren't you going to? And he'd, make the hand gesture. Did you? I'm going to do what you standing there with wet, towel dried, teaspoon of gel rubbed through it. And he's like, let's go hiking. I'm like, fine. Yeah, and I stopped wearing makeup, and I just started putting the money away. And Every time I made a choice where I started buying the men's Hanes t-shirts. Those things are like $2.99. Woman's t-shirt, $20. And it's like every time you bend over, like it pulls up because it's short. Men's t-shirt, nice and long. So, yeah, I may have gotten called sir a lot that year. So much. It doesn't help. I'm kind of tall, and um, anyway, I got called sir a lot. Welcome in. But I saved a ton of money. And the amount of money I was spending each month on makeup was just stupid. Like makeup and fancy shampoo. And I just, I think that year I gave myself a haircut. It was really hot that summer, and then I had to go find somebody to fix it. And that did cost a lot more money than one would want to spend. And it ended up pretty short. But up until that day where I had the heat frustration so bad, have you ever had that? Just me? It just was like not kidding, 115 degrees in town, and I just couldn't take it one more day, and so I got the clippers out and gave myself a very bad, a very bad haircut. Irish Mart says I've never worn makeup except under severe peer pressure, like for a wedding. I hate all the pics as it's not you in them. Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's fantastic because I know you haven't blown a ton of money on that crap. Like, if you're going to buy something that's like a pretty color and in a jar, buy yourself some watercolor paint or some gouache, some art supplies. Marla says, I quit coloring my hair. My hair is healthier. Yeah, stuff's hard on us. One of the things that really was just kind of grinding my gears about it is the hours that it takes, right? Like women get less sleep because we've got to get up an hour earlier than the average man so we can do our hair if we go to work in an office where we have a dress code. Right? Like the costs of this upkeep, it's higher than for men. And then we go to jobs where the last figure I saw was that women made in America 73% of a man doing the same or an equivalent job. So we're getting 73 cents on the dollar to do the same job. And it costs us more to get ready to go to work and to dress to be at work. I don't know. I'll tell you, I kept exploring that theme all year, and I'm still wearing $3 men's t-shirts. I don't know if I'm changing any of these things. I don't know. It has changed. One of my first jobs when I was 18, my cousin worked at the same company. It was a union shop, AFL-CIO. It was a big union. It was comparable to the Teamsters back in the day. And I made $2.15 an hour. My cousin made $4.30 an hour. He worked in photo sound where he sorted packets of 12 or 24 or 36 photographs into alphabetical order. I worked in the automotive and sporting goods department where I lifted cases of motor oil and cases of antifreeze and stocked shelves. And he made twice what I made. And when I found out about it, I went to the boss and I said, yeah, I'd like to be paid what he's getting paid. And the PIC literally said to me, well, he's a man. He's 19 years old, right? Uh, he's gonna have a family one day, so he's gonna need to support them. And I said, well, I'd like to have a family too, so I would like to get paid, and I'm working harder than he is. And I never got the raise. And this was in a union shop, mind you. And the difference was gender. So I guess if now I hear that women make 73 cents on the dollar, well, that's progress versus 50% of what my male cousin was making. But it's not enough. And I don't know what it's going to take to get parity or equality. We're not going to get the same treatment. We're just, I, d- you know, the idealistic young person in me wants to say, yeah, women and men are the same. We're not. We're not culturally. We're not economically. I don't know. I don't see this culture that we're in reconciling that and giving us a fair shake. So I think it's good to take some time and think about what the personal experience is, what it's like to get into your wallet, and to think about whether you want to keep making those economic choices or if you want to mix it up a little bit. Or if you even can, you may not be in a position in your life where you can. I'm essentially disabled, retired, and so I can run my life as I see fit, and there's really nobody I have to answer to. So I do that. I try to think of something to do. Um, and I think for this year, it's taken me a little while to land on it, but I think this year I'm just going to do things like turn around and walk out of the taco shop and just stop taking shit lying down. And hopefully that won't get me a beat down. You know, that's all you hope for any day going out in the world. Hope I can get back home without a beat down. It's such a low bar. So we've got a thumbs down for makeup, a thumbs down for mascara, good sunscreen and moisturizer. Yes, Sandy. Sandy rocking the undercut. Oh, I was thinking about one of those. I don't like the itch. I would like it when it's really short, especially in the summer because of the way the heat just evaporates off you when your hair is that short. But the bristly growing back in, I'm not sure I could. Yeah, sensory issues. Different we have people weighing in on the makeup experience. Maya has not been to a hairdresser for 25 years. Well, good for you and your wallet. Irish Mart says it's an industry con here. People tend to cake it on. If makeup is applied property, do you think one should be left wondering if someone does or doesn't have makeup on? Yeah, nice. Yeah, Sandy Hill says, but being different shouldn't mean different pay for the same work. Exactly. Right? And I mean, I've worked with men and women. I've employed men and women. And I've seen some women who show up for work and they don't have an off button, right? They don't take downtime. They they work they work twice as hard for half the pay. So knowing that I, as a white woman in this culture, have done harder work for less pay, I can look around and I know that people of color, I know that people who identify, people who LGBTQIA, right? Anybody who is more different from the norm than I as a white woman am getting it at least as bad as I have it, and probably worse. So I don't. I have this belief that everybody who explores some issue like that and learns something from it goes out into the world and, like a ripple, you know, on still water, right? That our self knowledge will inform our actions and it will have impacts on the world and it will make change. And when I have employees that they who used a seniority system, they didn't have to, it's small shops like that are rarely unionized, and there's not really a union of florists. Uh, but first hired were the people who got to, have their first choice of the schedule, and they got paid more, and they got evaluated on their jobs every 6 months or so, a couple times a year. And if we had a great month, there would be bonuses. And I would set challenges for them, you know. How many phone calls can you take? How many phone calls can you convert into orders? What's your rate of converting your phone call? Because a lot of times people will call and say, what are your shop hours? Uh, but also, a lot of times they're just trying to find a florist to fill an order. So, um, actually, I'm feeling a lot of nostalgia for the old days. Yep, some employers view pay as an unwanted expense and pay as little as they can to get away with. Especially, I see that in franchise holders, right? You don't see it as much in uh, like a sole proprietorship or a small business that's just one person with their idea doing their thing, plying their trade. Um, those business owners tend to want experienced and reliable employees and are doing their best to make that, uh, you know, pay the pay, lay out the bucks. Marla says, I experienced a retail experience with my friend from India. I was about to come unglued. She was making a simple return. If I hadn't been with her, I got the feeling it would have gone badly. Ugh. Irish in Krispy Kreme, under 21s get under 7 quid an hour on the retail side. It's shocking as some have rent to pay even at that young age. Yeah, back when we were getting I was getting 2.15 and my cousin was getting 4.30. We were being paid a rate because we were still in high school. If we'd been out of high school, we would have been paid a little bit more, but still disparately. He would have made twice what I made. Um, yeah, about 6 weeks after that, I left for a job that paid $8 an hour. So, uh, and by fall, I had enough money for my first year's college tuition. So it was like, at least I didn't stay working there for $2.15 an hour. Yeah. Oh, so your friend was in her mid 40s. So they were just really disrespecting her and not wanting to take the return because they were, we don't know why. It's why I don't like commission shops because I find that like trying to do returns is it's really difficult, challenging in shops where it's commission and they take it off the commission of the person who handles the return. So they're very inclined to tell you no. So Irish Mart says, I don't get why under 21s get paid less. Under 18, fair enough. I think it depends a lot on the job. We would hire one or two people who were from the local high school to do some kind of simple tasks around the shop, the family shop. Um, but we would find that a lot of times kids like high school age, they just don't have enough life experience to be good at all of the tasks we needed them to do. So it did make sense to pay them kind of intern level wages. But once they like get the customer service skills to be able to close a sale on the telephone, like that's kind of the baseline for once you can get paid full wages in a flower shop. Yeah. Marla, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your chat this evening. Yeah. Yeah, I actually started working when I was 12. Got picked up in a crew bus and taken out to work harvesting in agriculture. And then the legislature passed a law against child labor, and I did not work when I was 13 because it was against the law. Um, but when I was 15 and a half, I think I was doing stuff. I was doing some stuff on the family farm when I was 14, because you could get a work permit at 15, and then at 15 I turned 16 that year, and I found a place that was hiring where the job application just had your year. When you wanted your birthday, they only had a spot for your year. So I put the year and told them I was 16, even though I was 15, and went to work. It was like, in my family, if you, well, not strictly in my family, because my parents paid for my brother to go to college, but I paid for, I was a girl, so I paid my own way. Yeah, if people are doing the same work and, uh, the place where my cousin and I were working, like, we were doing the same exact jobs as people who were, you know, grown adults who'd been with the company. We were cashiering, we were stocking, we were dealing with customers. The only thing that was different was we were in high school. So we got paid considerably less than people who were out of high school. So if you're doing the same job, you really ought to get paid what adult employees get paid, I think. But um, that's not what the laws are, so this employer would hire as many high school students as they could get because it made their cost of labor much cheaper if you're paying half the wages. It's kind of wild to me when you hear young people and they're like they've never, they're they're out of college and they've never had a job. I feel like, I go back in my memory and I'm like, at least in the summers, I wasn't working during the school years, but during the summers, I was working. So I like feel like from the time I was kind of 12, right? That's kind of when you start to have an awareness of what it's like to be a person in the world. Before that, you're kind of like a kid in a family. And so I always had this concept that the world meant working. And you were just looking at the country going, how did we get here? And then there's these young people who weren't working in the way that people from my generation were working. And I just wonder how it all fits together. Mm. Irish Mart and Joe sorting out Aldi. How is that? LIDL, Lidl, and Tesco. And apparently the Tesco staff were in the whole ignorant, yet thought they were above everyone else. But a better shopping experience at Aldi. Is that where you guys have landed on that? Yeah, I would agree with this idea that we have here in chat that if you are in a retail experience and the staff are being paid fairly, that it's a better retail experience for people. Um, yeah, and I think like you're gonna stay longer, you're gonna spend more money at places where they're friendly and nice to you, and actually make a little eye contact and don't call you sir when you're a woman, and don't want to be called sir, I guess. Well, I think I could put a few rocks in that corner, just because it's fairly rocky here and it kind of looks like it's fallen off the page here. Let's say we had a chat and live stream on last Saturday, didn't we? I kind of like this. It's got a different vibe than that midweek late night chat. Trying to think back if I started any topic and then just kind of left it hanging. Uh, I, I think we closed all the loops, didn't we? Maya dashed off. I know what that BRB usually means. That might mean the dog. She's got to get a dog. Well, people, it is well truly into the middle of the night out where I live, and we're at about an hour and a half, hour 35 minutes. So I think I'm going to wrap it up for here. Um, if you're watching on replay, thank you very much. Love it. If you have any comments, just shoot a comment. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out in chat and for watching and just spending time with us out there in the world of the observers. You are valued here. Joe says, nice to catch you this morning. It was nice to be caught. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for always for the thought-provoking questions and the companionship. It's a lot of fun making art with you folks, and I hope you will. I hope you've got a weekend where you are. I guess not everybody is. Some of us are still working on different shifts, but if it's a day of leisure for you, take some time and rest up and find a way to be a little awful. And we'll see you. Almost skated out of here. Maya, thank you. Thank you for the paint. Thank you for modding and hanging out and chatting. Just appreciate you so much. Thank you very much for the chocolate, the secret chocolate. And be artful. We'll see you on the next live stream. Bye, everybody.